Hi, and welcome to Training Insights, Episode 8. Hi folks, I'm Kevin McGowan, and welcome to Training Insights, Episode number 8, brought to you by Training Magazine. Go to trainingmag.com. Today I'm going to be having a really cool conversation with Gregg Thompson. He wrote a new book. It's called The Master Coach, subtitled Leading with Character, Building Connections, and Engaging in Extraordinary Conversations. Really fascinating book, brand new from Select Books, selectbooks.com. Now, Gregg works with Bluepoint Leadership, and he has been a consultant for many years on, guess what, coaching. So I asked him a lot of questions about the book, but also how to get yourself set up if you want to be a coach, and what are those first questions you really need to ask yourself if that's something you're interested in doing. So here we go. Let's go off to Washington and talk to Gregg Thompson.
Gregg Thompson in Point Roberts, Washington. How are you?
Great. Thank you very much.
It's nice to talk to you. It's very nice to have an actual physical book in my hands. You created this book called The Master Coach, and that's primarily what we're going to talk about today. But I know you're also the head of Bluepoint Leadership Development. Can you tell me a little bit about what you do?
Sure, certainly. And it's great to be here, Kevin. The Bluepoint Leadership Development, we are involved in training, equipping leaders at really all organizational levels and do a lot of work in the coach training field.
Mm-hmm. And what I thought was really interesting in the book is what you just touched on there was that it impacts or can impact anybody in an organization, any level of the organization. As I often think of, coaching, I think of executive coaching. I think it's always, a previous opinion I've had is that would have been kind of exclusive to that group, but it's not, and that's one of the major points of your book, The Master Coach.
Yeah, absolutely. There was a time when coaching was really seen as the domain of outside professional coaches, but most progressive organizations these days are seeing it as a core leadership competency, and increasingly seeing it as a competency throughout the organization, a required competency. It really has shown itself to be not a fad. It really has shown itself to be a key element of today's leadership.
Right, and so when there's a lot of words that can be kind of thrown around in terms of coaching or similar to coaching, but I know they're not the same. So can you explain to me maybe the difference between, even in the book you've got sections like, coach is not a friend, a coach is not a therapist. but what is the difference in your view between coaching and mentoring, for example?
Sure. Well, if you look at this idea of all the different things leaders do, leaders mentor, leaders advise, they teach, they direct, and we believe they coach as well, is that in most of these other dimensions, such as advising and mentoring or directing, the leader really has an agenda. They are pursuing their own agenda to some degree. And coaching is really about making that shift so that you don't see your role as that, not even as an advisor or a mentor. It really is you're seeing yourself really as a catalyst for the learning and development and performance, the high performance of others. And you asked a great question, and that really is at the essence of equipping leaders to be more coach-like. It's helping them make a shift away from being an advisor, being the expert, being the director, and becoming much more coach-like in their work. So
in a situation, I'm thinking of my own work history. I've had lots of bosses and leaders over the years. If somebody is kind of pushing me in the direction because that's where they want the team to go, that's where the company wants to go, that's one thing. But coaching is different. That's about the individual and maybe where they want to go within that organization, but even perhaps without or out of the organization. Is that
absolutely
fair?
Absolutely. One of the things that distinguishes a coaching conversation or coaching relationship, and the reason it's not a friendship, though friends can coach other friends, is that it's all about the person being coached. It's all about them for whatever length of time the coaching conversation is occurring. And it's really actually quite a rare experience to have a conversation with somebody else when the entire conversation is about what is best for you. That's what it feels like to be coached.
Yeah. It might almost feel kind of selfish. This conversation is all about me, right? You've been doing this for a long time. You've been running, you've been running Bluepoint for a long time. Why? Why is this your thing? Why is this a passion for you?
Well, it's a passion for me because if you look at the entire area of organization effectiveness, my graduate degree is in organization development. I come out of the engineering field before that. And if you look at really trying to impact an organization, there's lots of different things you can do. Organization design, efficiency studies, re-engineering, all important things. The reason that I and a lot of my colleagues have chosen this idea of leadership development is because we believe that leadership is a key driving force in any organization. And the better that we can equip leaders to deal with organizations now and in the future, the bigger impact we can have. I mean, long answer to your question, but it's really because we think we can make a real difference in people's lives, their work lives, by working with the leaders in organizations.
Well, I mean, I've certainly, again, back to my own experience, but I certainly know a lot of, everyone's had different working experiences. Some are very supportive organizations and some are not. Some have supportive leaders, some don't. How do you make a transition in terms of an organization from being maybe not, I'm not sure how to describe it, but a non-coaching environment into a coaching environment? How does that shift happen?
Yeah, the shift typically happens in a top-down process, and we work with a number of clients that have simply decided that their old way of operating, their culture, does not work. It doesn't really foster learning, development, and high performance. And so it really starts with the top of the house and those wonderful men and women deciding that they're going to actually model. They're going to become great coaches themselves, and they're going to insist that other people become great coaches also.
Let's say I called you. I said, okay, I want to be a coach. I'm my organization, or just for myself, I want to set this example. What is the first thing I need to do, or what's the first question you're going to ask me?
Well, it really would be a challenge. It would be this idea, and this is absolutely fundamental to the book, is that it's much more important for you to be a coach than to do coaching. If you look around at most of the coach training programs, they're good, but they're very limited because they are teaching you the skills to do great coaching. And, it's like you come back from the program, you're going to walk around, you're going to zap people with your coaching skills. It's much more about who you are, and it's about earning that right to coach. Interesting thing about coaching is you can be fired as a coach mid-sentence, and you don't even know it, because the other person needs to be a willing participant in that relationship, in that conversation. And so, and that's your question. The very first thing I would do is I would encourage the person to look at their own character, look at whether or not they really believe they've earned the right to coach. And if they have not, then that's where we start. Interesting.
So how would you walk through that? How do you know if you're really there? Because some people will think they're there. I might think I'm there, but maybe I'm really not. So how would you tell the difference?
Well, if you're going to use an actual process, we might do a 360 and get some feedback there. However, most of us know whether or not we really have earned the right to coach other people, whether or not people would willingly welcome us into that conversation. And it has a lot to do with our character, and actually it has most to do with our intention. And if people believe that our intention is truly to help them, then they will welcome us into that coaching relationship and conversation. If they believe our intention is to change them or fix them, or my favorite, and this is the one I struggle with, is show them how wrong they are and how smart we are. I mean, that's, we all need to be aware of the practices and behaviors that we manifest to our colleagues all the time. And it is a discipline. A lot of this, to be a great coach, you really need to have a discipline to have this intention, to have this kind of a character. It doesn't come natural to a lot of us.
So what was I guess, one more question about the book specifically. Why did you decide to put all of this, pen to paper like this in the first place?
Well, I've had the opportunity through Bluepoint to train, equip literally thousands of leaders every year, and we're honored to work for some of the finest and most progressive companies in the world, GE, Microsoft, American Airlines, American Express. And I have learned so much about what it takes and how difficult it is, and the real challenge of becoming a coach-like leader. I wanted to really synthesize that into one document that hopefully would be a good guide to a leader who's looking really to master this idea of coaching.
Well, Gregg Thompson, I want to say thanks very much. I'll let you go with that because that's a perfect way to wrap it up. But thank you very much for taking some time today, and for the book too. I'm already learning a lot from it, and I'll be rereading it, I'm sure, very soon.
Thank you very much, Kevin. It was a pleasure to be here.
Thank you so much to Gregg Thompson for getting on the phone with me today, and thanks to you for listening. If you would like to know more, if you have any comments, questions, suggestions, maybe you'd like to be interviewed on the show, maybe you have a project or a particular item you're really passionate about, you want to talk about, drop me a line and go to kevinmcgowan.ca. Thanks so much for listening, and thanks again, Gregg Thompson. Master Coach, brand new book, published by selectbooks.com. Go check it out at your favorite local or online bookseller. Thanks so much.